What's going on, guys? What's going on, Kyle? John, good to see you. JD, Larry Krueger, and Todd Husak here. All right, well, let's get to it. 27 to 30 to 33. You guys pick up, a third and a fifth, I believe, in the process. One of those fours you guys had goes the other way. But what made it the right move to move back not only once but twice?
Yeah, I know it's not the thing everyone's waiting for, a player and a great player, and so were we. A lot of the guys that we had tabbed as our guys, I won't say a lot, a few of the guys that we would have stood pat and picked at 27 were gone. And we had done some due diligence, had some deals lined up. We started that process at the end of last week, and had some deals, in place such that we got in a situation like this where we had a number of players that we still liked, and the players that we really would have stood pat and taken our pick were gone. And so that's exactly what happened. We did it once, and, it lined up for us to do it again. And we were able to pick. Now we have 7 picks. We were able to swap a 4 for a 3. And I think we're in good position right now to improve our team. And looking forward, we're in the driver's seat with a coveted pick, that first pick tomorrow. Everybody goes with their staffs, they get together, and they look at who's on the board. So we can do the same and take a player that we really like, and I'm sure we'll field a lot of calls tomorrow morning to see if somebody wants to come up and do something. But I think we're in good position, and now we're going to start adding football players who are going to help our team.
Do you feel like, do you guys feel like with what you did in free agency that you hit a couple needs and now you can kind of go best player available? Or how do you guys view kind of what you've done already this offseason?
I think that was the most exciting thing about free agency. We filled a number of spots that we thought we knew we had to do either in the draft or free agency, and to be able to do a number of that stuff in free agency gave us the freedom to do this today, and to be able to pick up a few more spots to get a few more players. Like John said, there was a couple guys we weren't going to move for, but those guys weren't there, and this was an option we were really excited about also.
And you had talked about the depth of this draft where a handful of guys maybe had those surefire first-round grades, but not a huge difference between picks 20 and 50. Is that impacted how you approach the trading down, and you can still feel like you can fill some gaps and get some impact players?
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. We had our guys that we had those grades on, and then we had the guys that we had conviction on as a group. And once those guys went, we still had a list of guys we really liked in these spots where we're looking at now. And so, in a good spot moving forward. And I'm just reacting to Seattle's pick back here, so I'm sorry if I'm distracted. But looking forward to tomorrow.
And Seattle did take the running back from Notre Dame, Jadavian Price. Was the pick at number 32, just so everybody out there listening does know. How adding a pick, you guys do add a pick in total from 6 to 7 with the swap and everything. Are you comfortable with the 7, or are you guys still maybe, as you look at everybody resetting their board and having that pick where people maybe want to make you an offer where you'd look to add a couple of more there?
I think we got a little spoiled last year with 11. That was nice, and it was well needed for our team. All those guys are still here on our team or practice squad, so that it really infused a ton of youth. I think that's going to end up being a really good draft class. But to add the 1 pick and still be in a good position picking the first pick there tomorrow, and we'll listen, but if not, we'll make a real good pick for our football team.
Yeah, it's really cool to be at 33, though. I mean, just that it doesn't start that early tomorrow. We have all day tomorrow to kind of get ready for this. We start the draft tomorrow, and we know there's a player there right now that we like. So worst case scenario, we're getting a good player we like, but you also can sit there all day and see if there's any other opportunities that come up to us that'll help our team in another way.
How about Raheem? This was your first year with Raheem in the war room. What was it like? Was he boisterous? Was he energetic?
He was a lot quieter in the war room than he's been every single other moment of his entire life. But it's because we were waiting for some certain guys that we thought we might have had a chance on, and we would have had to get lucky. But we didn't totally on a couple guys. So I know he's disappointed in that. But I know he's excited about these picks that we got tomorrow.
John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan joining us here, Larry Krueger, Todd Husak, John Dickinson, as the 49ers trade back from 27 out of the first round. As you look at, overall, as you kind of look at things right now, we talk about receiver, we talk about edge rusher, we talk about different positions of need. I know, John, you were pretty comfortable and confident in feeling like this group doesn't have a lot of holes right now. As you look at the way the first round played out, do you still feel comfortable and confident in that?
Absolutely. In terms of no holes, every team has holes, and it's to what degree. I do, as Kyle just communicated, I think really well. What we were able to do in free agency just left us in a good position where we didn't have glaring needs that are just screaming and hitting you right in the face. And so that allows you to go and really have a mentality of just taking good football players. And obviously needs, and we've talked as a group and as an organization as to what are the most pressing, but you kind of you weigh that against also just taking really good football players, and those things work together, and so that's what we'll do tomorrow.
How important is it to get that 90 pick after making the trade for Osa Odigizua, and you guys give up a third, but now have the ability to get back into that sort of level in the draft?
Yeah, first of all, I think you get in the draft, and the draft's a great thing, and I love the potential. Fred Warner was a third-round pick for us, but having Osa for a third-round pick and 3 years left on his deal, that's what has me really excited right now. I know we got one third-round pick. That's the way I look at it, and he's a really good football player that I think kind of changes the complexion of our defense and really adds a lot to who we are.
One of the things you get a lot of credit for, and deservedly so, is evaluating those middle-round picks, third, fourth, fifth, over the years, and coming up with not just good players, great players, cornerstones of the franchise. At those levels, the measurables aren't very different, right? Do you evaluate guys that are available in the third and fourth round? Are there questions or a process that you go through with each player aside from watching the tape? What do you look for when you interview those players or spend time with them?
Really, when you do this for a while, you understand what a first-round pick looks like in terms of measurements and things like that, and the full-out talent level. And there's very rarely 32 of those. There's we'll say 20, and then there's some 4 guys that are close to that talent, but something else puts them in there too. And then after that, then it's not so obvious just height, weight, and speed-wise. That's why it always comes to us for the film first and foremost. Like, we got to love the film. But they might be a third-round talent, fourth-round talent, whatever that is. But then you bring in a guy like Fred Warner, and like the way he was on our visit, the way he carried himself, just the intangibles of who he was as a man and what we believed he could become. Yeah, that started with film. But then you meet a dude, and you're like, no, there's something different about this guy. And that's kind of what we've been talking about here, like the last few months, that, I feel pretty strongly what we've been able to accomplish here and be able to go on the runs that we have to do with finding a guy like Fred in the third round, finding a guy like Greenlaw in the fifth, finding a guy like Kittle in the fifth, Juwan in the seventh, Huff in the sixth. Those are the picks that, to me, change organizations, where you look at the Rams, whenever they got Puka, I think it was the fourth. Those are later picks, but those are the changes. Like, hell yeah, it's awesome when we have the second pick and we get Bosa. But it's not always the first picks that I believe have changed us. I believe it's those other ones that I've mentioned, and obviously Bosa put us over the top. But that's really how you build a team. And if you're only going to hit on the top picks, that's not how you build a team. We got to really hit on these ones later, and hopefully that'll start at 33 tomorrow. But there's no pick that can't be the difference maker.
You had a good pick in the 7th round a few years ago too.
I forgot that one. That was all right too.
Your guys, you're talking about good people. Your guys went to the Giants game the other night, and there's Mac Jones up in the booth, and he's crushing a beer, and he's and
shocker.
You can tell though that guy is just a likable guy. Everybody likes Mac Jones. I don't know. The guy could run for mayor. Did you guys get any calls on Mac Jones? Do you expect to get calls on Mac Jones?
I did, but we haven't. So it kind of blew my mind. And it's definitely someone I would be sick if we lost. But we also understand how good of a quarterback he is. So it definitely surprised me a lot that I know what I would have done. But not everyone did that. So good for us that we still get to hold on to a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
I know you guys, there's always a fine line, commenting on other teams' players, but I know you're also always looking at your division and where guys go. Surprised at what the Rams did with Simpson at all, and you look at some of the offensive talent that comes into the division with Jeremiah Love and also the pick that Seattle made here as you guys joined us.
Yeah, I think when you're picking that high, like Arizona, we had that pretty well tabbed. That's likely where Arizona was going to go. And man, that kid's a dynamic football player. He is fun to watch. He's going to be tough to play against. I know that Mike will have a good plan and way to use him because he's a very versatile player. He's an explosive player. You can line up on the 1 yard line and he can go the distance. I mean, so we'll have our work cut out for us there. And then, as for the Rams, respect to them. They're a really well-run organization. They do things well, and they made a pick that surprised a lot of people. But we'll leave it at that.
John, you played safety in the league. You're a Hall of Famer. The position's changed a lot. You guys may or may not be looking for a safety. There are all kinds of guys in this draft. There's guys that look like corners. There's guys that look like linebackers. What do you think of just kind of how that position has evolved, and is what style safety do you think fits what you guys do on defense?
Yeah, I think, first of all, you're right. I think the evolution of the safety, and now you got folks like the guy up in Seattle, Emenwari, and a giant safety who's not really even a safety. They're playing up closer to the line of scrimmage as a nickel position. So I think, that whole dynamic, you're looking for difference makers. And there's a number of ways. I think the reason why, everybody's got their own perspective, but I think why safeties can have a great impact is because they do a little bit of everything. At times they're up close to the line of scrimmage, blitzing. At times they're playing kind of a linebacker role, and at times they're in the back end trying to take the ball away. Raheem had 2 really good ones in Atlanta last year. He's been around a lot of really good ones, and so we've got a good feel for what we like. And here's the great thing. We like our group as it's constructed right now. Would we add to it? Sure. But we do like the guys we have, and looking forward to using them, in the way Raheem has and will.
I'm curious, as part of your strategy, do you look at what the division does well, either offensively or defensively, and do you try to build a team to beat those teams in particular, or are you just building your roster to be the best possible team the 49ers can be and not necessarily to compete against your division rivals?
I think it's a yes to all those.
Yeah.
You want to you got to get the best you can possibly be, and that's, you don't just get to pick that. It's who's available. Like, who can you get in free agency, who can you get at where you are in the draft, and who comes there in the draft. But when it comes to your division, you're going to play them twice. Your number one goal is to get to the playoffs, so you have a chance to get your number one goal, which is the Super Bowl. And to me, when you look in division, you look at matchups. Yep. It's all right. It's not like, all right, they're good at this, we have to get better at this as a whole. It's like, no, how can we have a guy who can at least balance that guy out, or who can beat that guy? And you look at that and where all the special guys are and how to do that. And when it's not that, then you're just filling in your team the best way it can be.
Kyle, John, we'll let you guys get back to reset that board for tomorrow, and the calls are probably already coming. I would imagine.
Getting buzzed.
So, looks like.
Yeah. Enjoy the evening, and it'll be fun for us to. We got to do all day. Who you guys going to take, and now we get to do it all day tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll appreciate it. Thanks,
right,
guys.
No hints. No hints on who you're drafting.
No hints.
I had to ask.
Thanks a lot, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan.